Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Lily. This is Lily's Shelf, and today we are talking about Love Island USA Season 7, Episode 7, child. We pick up immediately. Our girl Bella has left the villa, and I'm sorry, but Ace casually eating that like grilled cheese or that sandwich, whatever he was eating, took me out. I was dying. Nick and Sierra are talking. Nick said that Bella felt like he was basically playing in her face and giving her a lot of false hope, but he does not feel that way. He does not agree, okay? Sierra asked, well, why does Bella feel that way? And Nick is like, I don't know. I have no idea. No idea why Bella thought she ever stood a chance when I have you. Sierra says that she's really happy how everything worked out. They start making out, and then they joke about the fact that now they can make out wherever they want to. Charlie and Hannah are talking. Charlie is like, how was the speech? It was good, wasn't it? And Hannah was like, yes, it had me blushing in a little bit. And now I'm getting all shy. So like they're being cute, whatever. We're skipping right past them because they don't really give much besides that. Huda is talking about Bella leaving, and she's talking to Jeremiah about this, and Huda is really torn up. You know, Jeremiah says, yeah, I can see why you're torn up. That's basically your best friend and all this other stuff. And Huda is saying, you know, it's scary how some men are. And Jeremiah's face, he was like, some men are. Women do this too. What are you talking about? And Huda was saying, well, yes, but, you know, with some men, you really can't tell where you stand. And Jeremiah is like, again, what are you talking about? And Huda is like, well, I'm talking about me in terms of what I, you know, observed between Nick and Bella and Nick and Sierra. I could not tell where Nick stood. And so to me, his decision came out of left field. And so Jeremiah is like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But you could tell that Jeremiah and Nick are on one accord in terms of Nick does not feel like he did anything wrong in how he handled the Bella situation. Jeremiah doesn't think that Nick did anything wrong in terms of leading Bella on, because that's definitely what he did. And I feel like if the roles were reversed and it was Jeremiah in the love triangle, he would absolutely lead Huda on until the last possible moment and then choose somebody else. Ace and Amaya talk. I'm quite honestly still very annoyed at the fact that Ace did not choose Shelly to recouple with, but whatever. Ace says that he picked her because he wants to give her the experience to continue looking around the villa while also exploring their connection. Ace says that he's a super slow burner in terms of affection and that they aren't closed off, which is crazy to me because low-key, he was real. Like, he wasn't like super touchy with Shelly, but he was definitely given that he could be, or like that he was closer to being more affectionate with Shelly since he's given her forehead kisses and everything else. You compare that with Amaya, but maybe that's because they do, like he and Shelly do know each other out in the real world, so he feels more comfortable with her, and so, you know, he is more comfortable going for that forehead kiss. Because now that I think about it, other than that, they haven't really been too terribly touchy feely. So, but when it comes to Amaya, Ace is like, listen, I'm a slow babe. I'm a slow burner. He doesn't say babe, but I threw that in there because I'm being messy, okay? And it will make more sense later. So Ace is giving her this kind of like rundown of his boundaries on the heels of the fire pit and him choosing her. So Amaya feels thrown. So she's telling Ace that, you know, he could have saved this boundary speech for like a little bit later. She wanted to ride her Delulu high a little bit longer. She wanted to stay on cloud 9 because he did choose her. And basically he's killing the vibe. And that now she is getting major player vibes because you just chose me at the fire pit. You know, you just chose to recouple with me. Why are you not telling me that you're still open and that we are not closed off? I know this. Amaya, if you know this, I need you to act like it, okay? I need you to move like you know that you are not Ace's only choice. I'll say that. And that she thought the feelings were mutual between them because he did pick her, and Ace was like, nah. His face, he didn't say nah, but like his face was saying, nah, the feelings are not mutual yet. Like, they might potentially could get there, but right now, absolutely not. We are still at the start. Amaya goes and pulls Huda for a chat. Now, keep in mind, okay, Ace just basically ran down his boundaries. Amaya did not like that speech at all. Amaya is getting like emotional at the fact that Ace basically, popped her bubble. And so while Huda and Jeremiah were talking, Amaya runs over, well, not runs, but she like fast walks over. And she pulls Huda. She's like, we need to talk. And Huda's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And Amaya basically like, no, like, do you know you have 30 minutes? Like, get up. We need to talk now. And so Amaya and Huda get up. I think they go into the speakeasy, and Amaya just starts like boohoo crying because, again, Ace has popped her Delulu bubble. She thought the feelings were mutual. They absolutely are not right now. And Huda reminds her that she is the prize. All of the women are the prize, and it's the men who are to step their game up and continue to pursue these women, even though I don't agree with Amaya boohoo and I feel like she's doing too much. Maybe that's why her and Huda are connecting, because they are in the school of doing absolutely too much for men they don't really know. Because Amaya, isn't this like your second day? Isn't this only like your second day in the villa? But I can see why she thought Ace was more invested in her than he was, because he did choose to recouple with her. So like, I can kind of see where she got a little bit of the mixed signals. Now I get that Ace was her top choice, but like, girl, boo-hoo crying over this man. I mean, boo-hoo crying over this man. Okay. Austin pulls Shelly for chat. They talk about the speech. Austin is clearly looking for compliments about the speech, and Shelly does say that the speech did make her feel good, and she was happy about it. In her confessional, she does say she likes his personality, and that he's tall, and that he's attractive. Shelly, you're not slick. You're saying a lot of things. We know that you are keeping Austin around on the roster because Austin is a safe choice, because Austin is clearly into you, even though Austin being into you is very suspicious. Olandria is talking about how men don't know what they want. I agree. Well, men like to play like they don't know what they want, and will keep you on the ropes until, the final hour. And then they want to act like, okay, now we can make a decision, and basically leave you looking a fool. And that she was blindsided because Nick had just kissed Bella in Soul Ties. Now, keep in mind, Olandria and the other girls are all in the little like makeup get ready room. So when Olandria drops this bomb, Sierra is like, pause. What do you mean Nick and Bella were locking lips in Soul Ties? Me and him were locking lips 5 minutes after that in the photo booth. So what did I say last review? Y'all, I was right. Nick still had Bella's lip gloss on his lips. I wish that he would handle these situations just a little bit better. But at the same time, because Nick keeps fumbling the bag, it does leave the door open for all of this potential drama to come up. So I hope that Sierra, she says that she's going to confront him about the fact that he did not tell her this information and she had to hear it from a third party, because that is shady. So hopefully she really, gets onto him about that. It's the next morning, y'all, okay? Ace makes breakfast. Olandria makes breakfast for Taylor. So Ace is making breakfast for Amaya, I believe. And Olandria makes breakfast for Taylor this time, just to kind of reinforce the fact that she does like him and she is enjoying their chats. Ace is asking Olandria if she knows how to make coffee, and Olandria's like, nah. And Ace is like, dang. Because Amaya likes coffee. And he did ask her, I think that night, what she wanted for breakfast, and Amaya did specifically say coffee. So when Ace brings her breakfast, he's like, look, I know you said you wanted coffee. I don't know how to make coffee, so I did the best that I could with what I had. And Amaya was like, that's fine. Austin makes Shelly breakfast, and Charlie makes Hannah breakfast. This is when my patience with Taylor ran out. So Taylor is talking to Ace while Olandria is making breakfast, and this is why I like Ace. Even though he's playing too much, I like the advice that he gives when it comes to the other couples. And Taylor finally admits to the fact that he is not physically attracted to Olandria. guys, I didn't want my mind to go there, because I was like, maybe Taylor's just shy, maybe he just needs to open up, kind of like how Bella needed to open up and get out of her comfort zone a little bit. I thought that was Taylor, and that's why he was dragging his feet in terms of his connection with Alandria. But no, he finally owns up to Ace, not even to Alandria, but to Ace, that he is not physically attracted to our girl. Honestly, Ace was me, because the way he looked at him when Taylor said that, he was like, dude, she's literally cooking breakfast for you right now, and this is what you're saying to me? Like, she's not gonna wait around forever. And I agree. I need production to bring in 2 new bombshells, because Ace is playing with Shelly, so I need both my girls to have 2 new bombshells brought into the villa for them, that are gonna be, you know, all about them, pulling them for chats, making them feel wanted, desired, all the things that they deserve to feel, because right now the villa is not giving them that. And again, Ace was me when he said, look, what are you gonna do when she finally decides to stop waiting and moves on to somebody else? Implying you're gonna be sick. And I really do believe that to be the case. Like, Taylor says that he's not physically attracted to Alandria, but I bet if somebody comes in and starts paying Alandria the attention that she deserves, Taylor gonna be sick. On the heels of this conversation, Alandria is talking to Taylor because they're eating breakfast together, and Alandria brings up the fact that like all the other couples are further along, and she's noticing that they are not. And so she's basically bringing up this conversation so that Taylor knows, like, hey, you know, if you want to start getting more physical, you have the green light to start like putting your hand on my thigh, you know, holding my hand longer than it takes me to just like walk down the stairs or walk across the villa to the fire pit, like, you know, a little kiss on the forehead. Taylor is basically giving her nothing back. He's just like, okay, cool, I hear you. Sierra and Shelly talk about the fact that Nick was not upfront about his kiss with Bella, and that, you know, this is their first official date as a couple, and instead of her being on cloud 9, which is where she's supposed to be, she is now down in the dumps, because if Nick can withhold something like this, what else is he withholding? You know, she wants to make sure that it's just a slip up and not a character flaw. Ace, Taylor, and Alandria are talking. I feel like Ace, Taylor, and Alandria, they do have a good friendship. Like, the 3 of them, I feel like they do have a good friendship foundation, which is the only reason at this point why I am okay continuing to see Taylor, because he and Alandria do make good friends, but I need him to stop wasting my girl's time. But they're talking about Huda and Jeremiah, and Ace is like, do they not get performative to y'all? And Alandria's like, I mean, for right now, I do think that she likes him more than he likes her. And Ace and Taylor like, yeah. And Taylor was saying, like, what if Amaya had been his type? Huda would have been sick. I agree. Huda would have crashed out. Then a text comes through, and I think we're about to play another game, spice things up. No. For some reason, Huda and Jeremiah get to go on a date outside the villa. What do y'all think about that? Because I was like, okay, I mean, this is cute and all, but Huda and Jeremiah are not the couple that I am most invested in. I'm more invested in Alandria and Taylor's like stalemate than this, because it's giving, like Ace said, performative. But at the same time, Jeremiah is starting to give, he wants to start exploring other stuff. Hood and Jeremiah, they get to go on this outside date. They go to a water park. It's a bunch of like slides. They've got like some tubes and stuff, but they don't even really enjoy the water park for real. We only see them go on 1 or 2 slides, and then the rest of the time they're talking. All they do is talk in the villa. Like, y'all don't want to go on the slide again? Y'all are at a water park by yourselves. Y'all could have been like playing in the water. It was giving boring, like. But you can tell that she is so hype that, you know, she can finally start talking about her daughter out in the open with Jeremiah. Back at the villa, Ace, Nick, and Taylor are talking. Ace is telling them about how Amaya low-key was going off on him a little bit. Just a little bit. She started to do a little bit too much near the end of their conversation, but Ace is just basically telling them how, you know, like what he told Amaya about his boundaries and everything else, and then how Amaya was saying that he's giving player vibes. And when Nick hears this, he's like, oh, like, to me, that sounds like a red flag. You know, in Ace's confessional, he's wondering, like, he's starting to wonder if he wasted a recoupling choice because he and Amaya are not hitting it off the way that he thought that they would. Jeremiah and Huda talk about their day-to-day. The more, and I don't want this to come off as a ding, but the more that Huda talks, the more it's obvious that like a lot of her personality revolves around the fact that she is a mom. Because when Jeremiah talks about his day-to-day, you know, he's talking about the fact that like he does all these different hobbies and all this other kind of stuff. But when Huda talks about her day-to-day, she's more focused on the parts that have to do with her daughter. So like getting her daughter ready for school, picking her up, taking her daughter to I think her mom's house, and then going to pick her up on Sundays. But then as I'm listening, I'm like, okay, if y'all do get into the real world, because I think also during this conversation, she brings up the possibility of her and Jeremiah moving in together if they do make it past the villa. And Jeremiah's like, I mean, slow your roll. Right now, I think we could do long distance until like the lease is up, and then we could move into like same city, see how that goes. And then if that works out, then we could move, you know, in together fully. And, you know, while that is kind of wishy-washy, I do, especially since Jeremiah does emphasize the point that like he's never talked to a woman before who has a kid. I feel like Huda is not registering the fact that like this is going to be an adjustment if they do make it outside the villa. Jeremiah is going to have to get used to like the potential of being a stepdad, you know? And then Huda does bring up the fact that like her and her daughter's father are on, it sounds like good terms. They have a smooth co-parenting situation worked out, but you know, he's gonna have to adjust to that. He's gonna have to adjust to, you know, I think her daughter's like 5, so like really stepping up and helping to take care of the daughter, being in that position, and really kind of adjusting his life around their schedule, seeing how he kind of fits into the puzzle. Because the way that Huda talks, it does not sound like there's room for him. You would have to adjust to the role of being a step parent. Like that's not a good one. Okay, like the good step parents, it's not something that you just decide today and implement tomorrow. Like that's a mindset adjustment, that's a time adjustment, that's a priority adjustment. We'll see. But again, I don't believe for a second that these people are making it outside the villa. Quite honestly, I don't believe that these people are making it through the whole 6 weeks. So I feel like if the producers really want to be messy, they'll bring in a bombshell that has the potential. You know, you can never guarantee what or who is going to turn somebody's head or not, but like when maybe Casa Amor comes around, Jeremiah gets to go there and like he starts seeing that there are other fish in the sea. I went on a tangent, but going back to Huda and Jeremiah talking at the water park, Jeremiah opens up about the fact that like he would love to be able to bounce off his feelings about Huda having a child and what his role could look like in her life off of another man. And so Huda says that she will pull Nick aside and talk to him about it so that Jeremiah could have Nick to talk to. Back at the villa, Shelly, Olandria, and Sierra are talking about Huda and Jeremiah. Olandria says Jeremiah gives red flags. I agree, because he kept saying things that would turn Huda off from exploring other connections besides him, and that their feelings developed way too fast. I completely agree. I think in her confessional, she also says that she is not the type of friend to feed into her friend's delusions, but Huda needs support right now, and so she will be the support instead of the Debbie Downer that says, you know, girl, maybe look at this without the rose-colored glasses. Austin and Nick are talking. Now, rewind it back to earlier in this review where I said that Amaya was boo-hoo crying about the fact that Ace was setting boundaries with her. Come to find out, while Austin and Nick are talking, okay, Austin's like, dude, take this to the grave. Don't tell anybody what I'm about to tell you. Nick is like, I got you, bro. What is it? What's the tea? Austin lets Nick and us know that while he and Amaya were doing their wannabe meditation session, they kissed. So Amaya, you out here crashing out over Ace when you were too busy kissing Austin. You were feeling a way about Ace saying he wants to continue exploring other connections when that's exactly what you and your mouth were doing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Ace and Amaya talk. Amaya apologizes for her reaction. She kind of getting on my nerves that she kept calling him King. Like, I'm sorry, King. I'm sorry, King. Like, girl, it's giving fake. It's giving, you know, when she reminds me of those dudes who would text you like, Grand Rising Queen. I just, something about Amaya gives inauthentic. Just like certain parts that she says, like the whole like king thing, it's just, girl, enough. And then Ace says, because Amaya has been calling him like babe, you know, throughout it. And I do see that Amaya does use babe as like every other word. That is part of her vocabulary. But to Ace, you know, he does ask her if she can stop calling him babe, because before he says that, he does ask her, like, what do you call your romantic partners? And so Amaya is like, well, I usually make up a cute little pet name for them, or I call them babe, okay? So she had just said that she calls her romantic partners babe. So then later on in their conversation, she's calling Ace babe, and that's making him uncomfortable because Ace is thinking to himself, okay, well, we're not in a relationship yet, so I don't want you thinking that this is more than it is. But he only says, you know, like, I would appreciate it if you stopped calling me babe. And Amaya's like, okay, so we can't do anything because, you know, he had already said I'm not big on like physical touch just yet and like affection. I'm kind of slow to all that. And now he's telling her that he doesn't really like that she's calling him babe. Amaya's like, I call everybody babe. So when I call you babe, I'm not acting like we're boyfriend girlfriend. That's just my vocabulary. That's just how I talk. But you see how I just explained both sides? That's not what they do. So misunderstanding ensues because all Ace says is, you know, please stop calling me babe. And then Amaya in turn takes that as an attack. So now she's on the defensive. So now she says, well, okay, well, dang, I guess I can't do anything. And so now Ace is getting kind of annoyed because her tone has switched. And he's like, you know, I hope that we can have a conversation where you're not so, like, you don't react to stuff so much. And now that is a further attack on Amaya. She's like, okay, well, now you're pissing me off. Now you're getting on my nerves because now she's getting riled up. So she leaves. And meanwhile, Ace is stunned. He is confused because he's like, what the heck just happened? You know what has happened? Miscommunication. So Amaya is now confused. She's like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like Ace is switching up on me. And I was like, low-key, everything feels annoying when it's coming from the person that you don't really like. And so I feel like even though they didn't effectively communicate the disconnect between the word babe, Ace does not like that girl as much as she likes him. And so her calling him babe, her trying to touch his leg and all this other stuff was annoying and pushing his boundaries. Ace and Nick talk after that terrible chat. And so I'm like, okay, maybe Nick is like the go-to guy of the villa. Meanwhile, Amaya is telling Shelly, okay? And I thought that this was a little shady because why are you talking to Shelly? I know why you're talking to Shelly, because Shelly is another one of Ace's connections and you want to throw shade at Ace. And so like Amaya is telling Shelly, but she's switching the tone because remember Ace had said, you know, please don't call me babe. Very calm, very cool, very collected, just trying to like set a boundary. Like, I'm not comfortable with you calling me babe. That's not the way Amaya tells it. Amaya switches the tone and it's like, don't call me babe. Like, oh my God. And so like it's getting Shelly a little riled up because she's like, dang, you call everybody babe. What's his problem? What's his deal? If that's how he said it, what is his problem? What's his deal? But that's not how he said it. And Amaya, you trifling for switching the tone and switching and trying to paint Ace as more of a bad guy than he was. Ace pulls Shelly for a chat. Meanwhile, Austin is up on the patio with Charlie. So Austin sees that, so Austin is up here. Shelly and Ace are down here. So Austin sees that Shelly and Ace are talking, right? And Austin starts low-key crashing out. He's like, oh my God, I need them to stop with this ping ponging. Everybody's so tired of it. Like, he knows what he wants, bro. Just go after what you want. I'm so tired of this. I can't believe this. Now, while a broken clock is right twice a day, and I do agree that they are ping ponging, and I also agree, which I can't stand that I'm agreeing with Austin, I also agree when Austin said that Shelly is not the type to chase after a man, and Ace clearly wants Shelly to chase after him, and she's not going to do that. That's where I had to let his hand go, okay? Because you're doing all this, you're complaining and all this other stuff. You were just locking lips with Amaya. The girls and the guys split off because Huda and Jeremiah have finally returned. And so some of the girls were like, it was so quiet around the villa. I was hollering because Huda can get kind of animated, I'll say that. And so Huda is telling them about the water park dig, and now Huda is the one switching the tone of the conversation, because while they did talk about the future, Huda frames it like Jeremiah is so excited to move in with her after the villa and like start their life together and all this other stuff. That is absolutely not how that conversation went. But from the way that Huda is telling the story, you would never know that. You would never know that because the girls are so excited and hyped for her. And again, Alandria is in her confessional like Huda is deep in Delulu land. But I'm going to continue supporting my girl because what she needs is support, not a realistic Rachel. So, because it's night now, everybody's chilling. Shelly and Alandria finally talk. And I've been waiting for these two to talk one-on-one for a while because I knew it was going to be tea, and it was. So, Shelly is talking about how she and Ace were talking and that he was trying to see, you know, where her head was at, because I don't think I mentioned this already, but flashing back to when Ace and Shelly were talking, you know, Shelly basically said, I am not trying to be the perfect girl for Ace. If we end up, you know, working out, we end up coming together, that's great. But if we don't, it is what it is. And I think that Ace had to hear that because maybe that'll make him step his game up and realize he has to pursue her. Shelly is not going to pursue him. Flashing back to the present when Shelly and Alandria are talking, and Shelly is telling Alandria that like Ace still wants to explore, and she's like, he think he Dora the Explorer or something, like how much more does he need to explore? And Alandria's like, exactly, like he giving Christopher Columbus. Like, are they wrong? No, because even now when Shelly and Alandria are talking and Ace is looking off, it's my headcanon, because we don't see he is actually looking at, but it's my headcanon that he was looking at Shelly, because the look on his face, he usually only gets that look when he's looking at Shelly. Shelly says she's just going to hang out with Austin. Ew. Then they switch to talking about Alandria and Taylor's connection. You know, Alandria says that she does like Taylor, but they're missing the physical aspect of it. And Shelly's like, he need to step it up. This is why I said Jeremiah might want to be more open than he actually currently is, because Huda and Jeremiah are talking, and they're talking kind of low, so we get subtitles, okay? We get little subtitles of their conversation, and Huda is basically like listing off how she loves that he's so calm, and like she loves that about him. And she either asks him where he stands for like the 15th time, or she asks him how he feels about them for the 50th time. And Jeremiah's like, you know, I'm not completely closed off, it's just early. Oh, I think Huda was trying to make him say that he loved something about her back, and Jeremiah was just saying like, you know, I'm not completely closed off with you, it's still like really early. And Huda's like, oh, so you're just waiting for somebody else better to come along. And Jeremiah's like, no, what? How did we even get here? I feel like the mask is slipping just a little bit in terms of Jeremiah. Like, at first I thought, well, I still kind of agree with Alandria that Jeremiah has been doing all this performing and putting on so that he keeps Huda on the hook. But at the same time, I feel like Jeremiah is feeling other women in the villa, but he doesn't want to mess up his guaranteed safety net with Huda, and so he's not exploring anything else. But the more time goes on, because I think in the last episode, Ace was like, y'all like closed yourselves off so fast that is probably going to get boring. And I feel like now we are in the beginning stages of Jeremiah is bored. He wants to explore other connections, but at this point, Huda is locked in. So she's not bored. She wants this connection to stay right where it's at. Taylor and Alandria finally talk. Alandria's like, look, I obviously like you. I've made it very clear that I like you, but I need you to step your game up because I'm not feeling appreciated. I'm not feeling desired. I'm not feeling wanted. And Taylor apologizes for making her feel that way, and that he does say that there are areas where he can step it up. That they're on the patio or something, so they get up to walk away, and Taylor asks for a kiss. And so, you know, Alandria is hyped. She's excited about that. She's like, finally, like, we were just missing the physical. They end up going into the photo booth. You know, they're messing around, they're having fun, and they do kiss a little bit more. Alandria, now, you are my girl, but you do crack me up the way you go in for a kiss. The way you open your mouth and go in for a kiss has me hollering every time. Sierra and Nick finally talk. I just knew that Sierra was gonna get on Nick for how he handled the whole Nick, Sierra, Bella situation. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She asked him why he didn't bring up the fact that he kissed Bella, and Nick alludes to the fact that he never would have brought this kiss up if she had never found out first. But because Nick gives her like the eyes, okay, and because apparently Sierra is a sucker for big green eyes, big hazel eyes. What is Nick's eye color? Green? I think it's green. Big green eyes. She folds and she does not stand on business. And so they just are able to like kind of gloss over it. And because they glossed over it, I feel like this is now letting Nick know if he messes up, as long as he says, you know, it wasn't the first thing on my mind, but I'm giving you all of my attention now, and I'm like all in on you. Sierra will let other red flags, other like yellow flags slip by her. We finish off the episode with Ace and Amaya talking. Ace says that he likes her, but that she wasn't understanding where he was coming from. And Amaya felt offended by that because every time they talk, he's talking about his boundary. And she says, you know, she understands their situation, so she doesn't understand why he keeps bringing up the fact that they're not closed off. And so the more they talk, the more Amaya is getting pissed off with Ace. And Ace is like, look, at the end of the day, I want us to be cool. And Amaya's like, what does that mean? Because, okay, Ace, I was with you, but like, for real, what does that mean? He finally says, like, you know, I want us to be cool. I want us to be friends. And Amaya's like, okay, well, you can pull your next friend for a chat because I'm over it. And that's where the episode ends. But we do get a preview that her and Shelly seemingly are going back and forth. And I know that Amaya did not fix her lips to yell at my girl. But we'll see. But that's all I have for episode 7. Let me know what y'all thought down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.